Star Citizen 3.18 is currently struggling to get stable on live servers, but in the meantime there's been plenty of development ongoing for future updates. Today we'll be looking at new missions, new vehicle features, upcoming ships, and even a mention of jump points. This is a look at the active development of Star Citizen in the month of February. If you enjoy it, check out the rest of my monthly updates on the linked playlist. And if you want to possibly win a copy of the game, stick around until the end to find out more about my ongoing game giveaway when we hit 50,000 subscribers. Thank you for coming to my Tomato Talk. Today, as always, we start off with AI tech teams who build the technology that will eventually be used in future features. To start, the NPC transit feature we've covered in the last two reports has been completed. This will allow NPCs to call for, wait for, and use trains and elevators. The team then moved on to improving NPC use of trolleys and carts, which could come into play when they eventually begin loading cargo onto your ships. The team also finished the base skeleton for small creatures like birds, fish, and rats to spawn into the game and move around in contextually accurate locations. The team also continued working on the AI Pathfinder abilities. As we've covered recently, the tech team is working to build in natural affinities for pathfinding. So things like water and fire will be assigned a negative point value, while a sidewalk will be a positive one. So NPCs will calculate these values when navigating the universe and look for the path with the most points available. Moving on to the AI tools team, work progressed on the internal Apollo app. This application allows developers to build out AI logic in an easier-to-use graphical interface for subsumption. They also spent some time looking into Alpha 3.18 problems, specifically why NPCs are standing on chairs again, which was caused by the incorrect animation setup of benches and chairs. Oops. In the art section, where we learn about ships, this month we have an update on the Argo SRV, which is approaching completion and will proceed to a go-no-go meeting in March to determine implementation. I would expect it to only launch when its tractor beam is functional, so it's worth keeping an eye on whether or not we hear more about that in the coming weeks. Work also continued on an unannounced ship, which is well into its final art phase and may be looking at an Invictus Week launch in May. The Crusader series, which I covered in my recent video looking at upcoming ships, continued through its gray box phase. I'll keep that video linked below if you like ship stuff. The Hull C is being evaluated to make sure everything is ready for release, and the Freelancer is undergoing some internal changes in preparation for physical components. Gray box on an upcoming ship progressed, which I think we can confirm is the RSI Lynx after recent updates to the feature plans for 3.19. And the Santok Yai is in the gray box phase, with the team experimenting with more weighty secondary motion animations for the alien ship. If you follow these reports monthly, you know how the engine segment goes. I'll explain what I think I can, but I suggest you drop by the live stream where we go more in depth on the report, or find somebody who knows game development. Your choice. Of course, work was done on the Gen 12 renderer, which will help to optimize the game overall. Improvements led to clearer text rendering on displays in-game, CPU optimizations and scatter query code, and ongoing work to improve the visor system for ultra-wide screens. For the core engine, performance optimizations were implemented for the remote shader compiler we discussed last month, and the final touches for the Pack V2 support started wrapping up. Optimizations and stuff. Alright, as always, the best part of these reports, the feature development. First, the Arena Commander team. The design team focused on converting a location somewhere in the Stanton system into an Arena Commander map. This location will host all game types except races, but not much clue on where it might be. They also began work on a new atmospheric dogfighting map, which will provide players the chance to practice atmospheric dogfighting in a closed environment. The character features team began looking at lockers, which will introduce the ability to create a single-click loadout that quickly equips all of your items in a given outfit. This includes how these items will be physically displayed when you add them to the locker. This is a major part of the player interaction system as seen on the progress tracker, and might come alongside the update to that system that we've already been seeing. Another inventory addition in progress is the ability for a player to reload from their backpack. If you store ammo in your bag and not on your person, you'll be able to one-click reload with that additional ammo at the cost of a slower reload time. The gameplay features team continued work on the tractor beam, enabling a function to allow ship owners to lock their ship exterior to prevent parts and components from being disconnected. There's no knowing if this might apply to cargo, but overall shields should have an impact on tractor beam effectiveness. It's exciting to hear more about item detaching, and I do hope that it has the same tactile feel that we see in a game like Hard Space Shipbreaker. The team also continued their work on the resource network, now known as the engineering profession. This will include life support control, gravity control, power management, and more. We should hear more information on this feature in the next few months, with current work on the feature scheduled to finish up later this year. The mission features team made a few improvements to the in-game prison. Lootable containers have been added to the caves, which will have some rare contraband that can be returned to authorities for time off your sentence. Or you could find other players and NPCs to kill and steal their stuff to turn in, because prison creates better citizens. With these new methods of generating merits and escaping from prison coming in 3.18, serious violations have also received higher sentence times. Several new unannounced missions continued to be prototyped, one of which requires players to escort NPCs around the system in quantum travel, possibly requiring the player to carry out tasks at various locations. It seems these missions may not be linked to an unannounced profession, but rather building on existing gameplay. Finally, the team inherited the reputation system. Reputation is arguably the most important form of progression in Star Citizen, and undeniably one of the biggest systems to lag on development over the last year. Reputation adds context to the actions you carry out, and builds benefit and consequences into the missions you take and who you take them from. Prior to this, the last team that seemed to be focusing on the feature was the USPU team, who has since been focusing on the cargo refactor and new player experience. So it's great to see more focus here again, and hopefully some good advancements in the next year. Last month, the graphics team continued to finish up the initial Gen 12 implementation before moving on to integrating the Vulkan Graphics API. The team also added support for temporal anti-aliasing in secondary viewports, improving visual quality in hair. The VFX programming team continued on fire, achieving better effects for heat glow, burn marks, and soot on objects near the fire. They developed the new quantum travel effects, adding redshift and other various code improvements, and made improvements to tools used for particle effects. The Planet team worked on better shaping for asteroid fields, and worked with the graphics team to develop a better water system. This includes things like ripples, waves, and high-impact effects for events like ships crashing into the water. The Live Tools team in February implemented the Entity Graph tool, a major part of persistent entity streaming support. Next, the team will start on development of the Network Operations Center modules for server meshing. I don't know what that is, but they said server meshing, so I thought I'd let you know. The Locations team completed the exteriors of Seraphim Station and the jump points in Stanton. While I don't know what Seraphim Station is, I'm guessing it could be major infrastructure near one of the jump points in the system. But the mention of 3 jump points also seems to show that Stanton will maintain its current place in the structure of UEE space in lore. That is to say, as lore has dictated, the system will connect to Pyroterra and Magnus, shedding some lights on possible paths of expansion in the future. Work is also finishing up on new asteroid cluster locations for upcoming mining missions. Hopefully these are locations that can update other missions like bounty hunting and mining claims. They also worked on finishing up a major content pack that will enable the distribution of small to medium outposts in Pyro someday. Underground facilities reached the white box stage, making good progress towards completely redefining the most common ground mission location currently in game. They've also began preparing for the next step in caves, likely looking at the reworked rock caves and other cave biome types. The design team worked on new missions surrounding outposts in Pyro, and looked into what would make a gold standard outpost for the game moving forward. This led to realizations around how resource management and the reputation system can be implemented into these locations. The narrative team has also begun looking past Alpha 3.18, branding various upcoming vehicles, clothing pieces, and items. They also worked on the new salvage, mining, and investigation missions being developed, and changes were considered for the bounty hunting update in the works. The team also joined the environment and art teams to work on building interiors and narrative lootables. These are the data pads, books, journals, and other pieces of lore you find around a game, much like in Bethesda games. This goes a huge way towards explaining the world around players without having them go search for answers online to explain things. This will hopefully also add more interesting discoverables to locations to loot, and bring more lore into the game itself. The tech animation team was on set in February, finishing up final face scans for the next update to the character creator. This update aims to provide a lot more diversity to the game, better representing the vast amount of people in the UEE. Especially appreciated, but hopefully this also comes with an update to hair as well. In the UI department, work continued on several future features: interactive 3D UI, a universal position marker for the new star map, and concept work for updated vehicle UI styles. These are all things we've seen mentioned in the past, but the UI styles are particularly interesting, as we saw some initial ideas a couple years back which were taken back to the drawing board for additional work. The UI tech team progressed in getting a color picker available for other teams in the company to easily change the color of interactable screens, and they continued to polish the new star map. Hearing that this major feature is receiving polish, which we've read about over the last couple of months, is a great sign that work is coming to a sprint end, and maybe even implemented into the game soon. Save us all from the current star map purgatory, please. On the VFX side of things, new members have been getting onboarded by helping with the CPU to GPU conversion currently ongoing for particle effects. This is something that's done across the company that we've seen on different teams with small items that helps new members grow familiar with the company's structure and the game engine. The team also continued refining the new quantum travel effects, which could hint at the feature soon reaching maturity for implementation into the game. They also worked on several new vehicles, one of which has unusual thrusters, and carried out improvements to Lorville's new updated skyline, planned for Alpha 3.19. This marks 3 for 3 in my book of exciting monthly reports this year. There are a lot of things being discussed in ways we haven't really seen before. The new star map, quantum travel effects, missions in various professions, lore-based details and locations, and gameplay opportunities like tractor beams. All of this may be 2 months away or 12 months away, but showing up on monthly reports is a big sign that they will soon be a reality. The year continues to look bright when it comes to gameplay, but we'll have to continue to see what happens in terms of stability. If you're interested in following along on both of those fronts, I'll be making content for you right here and on my second channel to keep you up to date. So if you're looking for gameplay, podcasts, feature deep dives, and other Star Citizen content, consider subscribing here. Drop by the live stream to chat, and consider joining us on Discord to play in game together. And before you go, this channel is about to hit 50,000 subscribers. We want to say thanks to everybody and throw another giveaway to gift out 2 copies of the game, with one of 2 Drake ships included, the Cutlass or the Cutter. All you have to do to enter is subscribe and hit the link below for additional options. On top of that, as always, I'll be hiding extra codes throughout my videos that can give you more points towards the giveaway. There will be 2 winners, and they'll be announced the day after we hit 50,000. Whether you enter or not, I hope you learned something new in this video, and I'll catch you in the next.